Welcome to The Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
You know, our world is undergoing a reality revolution. More and more people are discovering the power of their minds to shape the world around them faster than ever before. Now, you've heard me say many times that it is an inside to outside job. Well, since it is an inside to outside job, how do we design our reality? Well, Brian Scott is the dynamic host of the Reality Revolution podcast, a writer, a consciousness explorer, a thought leader, a wealth coach, and meditator. Well, after a near fatal shooting in his home, how scary is that? Brian began a fanatical vision quest to understand his near-death experience, which led to a profound spiritual awakening. Brian found himself in that powerful state of grateful curiosity. He deepened his research into parallel realities, quantum mechanics, and consciousness, and explored multiple tools to uncover what actually happened in his close call with death. Along the way, Brian developed a series of techniques that are capable of creating profound transformations. His brilliant book, The Reality Revolution, the mind-blowing movement to hack your reality, introduces you to the techniques that have helped Brian's clients find lasting love, create wealth, and revitalize their health. And of course, one of the many, many things that I absolutely love about Brian is how he likes to hack reality by using the science of deliberate intention. Brian, welcome to the Abundance Journey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I am thrilled you're here. We had a blast on the Reality Revolution show, and I couldn't wait to get you on my show because you are so insightful. You're so generous with your energy and your ideas and your experiences, and we just had the best time. I couldn't wait to do it again.
For sure. Yeah, we did. It was wonderful.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
before we really get into the meat and potatoes, because I want to dive in right away, but I also want to make sure we connect our energy. So we're going to do a couple of different things that connects my energy with yours, with all of our listeners and viewers, and with the divine, with the God of your understanding.
Wonderful.
The two things. First of all, we're going to breathe together 3 slow, deep breaths. And on the inhale through the nose, think the words, I am. And on the exhale through the mouth, think the word consciousness. Now, when we do the breaths, I'll remind you the I am consciousness. Then after that, I'm going to share an intention with you. And we're going to hold that intention in silence for 78 seconds. I think I'm the only show that does this, but it's super important because, as you know, our intention is what we want to create and how we want to feel about it. It's that inside part that we're going to take to the outside and make manifest through our conversation. And holding it in silence for 78 seconds can be a real challenge for human beings because the current research shows we have a shorter attention span than goldfish. And a goldfish starts life all over again every 8 seconds. It's brand new. So that being the case, I've found 2 techniques that really help me stay the course for 78 seconds. The first one is to take 2 or 3 words from the intention that just feel expansive and uplifting and high consciousness, and keep saying them over and over again to yourself as we're going through the 78 seconds. The second thing is just notice what's happening in your body. Your body is a beautiful antenna for divine energy. You might notice a rush of heat or goosebumps, or you might feel yourself expanding. Anything that's happening in your body is just a sign that the divine, the God of your understanding, has locked into your higher consciousness and is already starting to move you to experience the intention. Pretty cool.
Awesome.
Okay, let's go ahead and breathe together 3 times. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out consciousness. In love and light, we hold the intention that we savor our reality as unfolding, layered blessings, collaborating with the divine to experience untold abundance, delight, and fulfillment. Thank you, divine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. We give thanks, and so it is. Wow, that was so cool. I felt so much energy radiating from you, Brian. What was your experience like?
I really was focused on your concept, the idea of layered. That was the and delight. Those were the main things I could feel.
Yeah, it was funny. I was really focused on collaborating with the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting because I witnessed so much divine in you in our last conversation. That's why I was so eager to have you on the show.
Wow.
And I love your story. I'm really enjoying your book. It's fabulous. It's just so good.
The most recent one, or the one, Reality Revolution?
Reality Revolution is the one that I'm reading right now, and I can't wait to get my hands on the other one too. Because I love where you're coming from. And you had this amazing spiritual revolution yourself. Could you tell us a little bit about why you're so passionate about sharing this with other people?
I'm someone, I was someone that was just an avid reader, and went for a long time sort of in my own world, constantly acquiring knowledge. I became a speed reader in college through graduate school. And so, I had reached a point where I had read thousands and thousands of books, but really hadn't done very much for anyone else. And I was not living an abundant life. I was an alcoholic. I was struggling, and I reached a point where I'd lost my kids. There had been a divorce that was very difficult, and I just remember just losing hope, losing the hope for anything. And I started to fall back on the things that I had read, which kind of saved me a little bit, and I started to really focus. I'm deeply in debt. It felt like there's nothing I can do to get out of this situation. So, I just made a commitment. If I can, if there's anything else, I can use my mind to escape from the situation. So I started meditating, studying and researching, and started to see some blessings, found love again, was able to start a new business, and started to see the beginnings of the manifestations that I had worked on. And then I had this event happen that I'm a big football fan out in the Broncos, and it was my team, and they were in the Super Bowl. It was the same day the Super Bowl happened, right? So my team had won the Super Bowl, and I'm sitting there afterwards, kind of sitting in the glow of this wonderful win of my team. And, it's late at night, so you just watch, every TV program where they're talking about it and you're just enjoying yourself. And then I hear a noise and I look up and I see the back door to my house is open. And I thought, geez, I've been so scatterbrained that I must have left it open, and then I started to worry about my cat and looking around for my cat. And I walk up to the sliding door, and it was kind of it was an old sliding door that kind of got stuck and you had to kind of shut it, So looking down for my cat, I look up and there's this person standing there with a gun pointed at me. And I, shut the door and turn, and it was a thick double-paned glass screen door. So I heard a gunshot. It wasn't like in the movies. It wasn't a big boom. It was a pop. But everything slows down in this moment. And I felt like I was in a movie like The Matrix. And suddenly, I could hear the bullet hit the first pane of glass. And it felt like an eternity between that and the second pane of glass. So it was like, and I could see myself laid out in blood and over here, and myself, I could see all these versions. I was in this infinite realm where all the versions of myself were in this realm. And so I felt something hit my back, and I ran around the corner, and there was someone else. And I heard the same gunshot, and I could see the bullets going by, just right by me, hitting the wall above me. And I turn and fortunately have my phone. I run into the garage, run outside, call the police, and from that point on, they come back and show up. The people that had run into the house left, and I went back, and the police are like, "You got something on your back?" And I had been shot, and the bullet had bounced off of my back. Now I think that the glass might have slowed it down a little bit, but it was one of those things like it should have. I was hit, and
Wow.
they.
And it didn't pierce the skin. It didn't go into you?
I had a little bump on there. It didn't pierce the skin.
Oh
There
my
was a little bit of blood
gosh.
flowing, but it didn't pierce the skin. So I get a call. They go into the hospital. They rip everything. They do the X-ray. There's nothing. And I'm sitting there, and like my the robe they give you with the little slippers, and I don't have anything. And I'm calling an Uber in the little bath robe, and I go back to the house, and when I go back to the house, I find my cat, fortunately, because they had shattered. I was worried about my cat the whole time. That's my baby. But I noticed that my house does not look the same. And this is the beginning of this process where I'm seeing objects that I never had, lamp posts that are there, little small changes, even in the design of the house. And I start, as things go by and I start getting back into my life, I used to go running a little bit, and I'd come to a lot at the corner where I would run, and I would run across instead of going along the sidewalk. And I came to the same lot, and there was a full building there, and it wasn't brand new. And I remember running by a park that had a lake that there was no park with a lake. And so I even start seeing things. I'm a huge movie fan, and I'm seeing these movies that have come out, and I'm following every movie. These movies I would have heard of. I'm seeing sequels to movies that I know I would know about, and I'm getting calls from friends that I've never been friends with that are acting like that we're good friends. I'm seeing just things on my text. I've texted with them, and so I'm maybe it's PTSD, some sort of memory problem. I'm very concerned that I've gone insane. I'm looking at the rational part of this. Something is wrong with me, and I've lost my memory. The perhaps post-traumatic stress that's caused some sort of memory problem. I go to a psychologist, and they say there's nothing wrong with you. And so I really start to explore this. I had explored, shifting into different realities as one of the things I was doing prior to this happening and to seeing the big changes in my life. And so then I start, I go to a local university. I talk to a physicist, and the physicist still don't believe in this stuff. But more and more, I start getting an idea of, can there be parallel realities? And I come to this assertion that I might have shifted into another reality.
Absolutely, you did. That's what saved your life.
That's what saved my life. There's a version of me that died.
Wow.
And my consciousness shift, at least that's what I think. And it's
Yeah.
maybe I'm irrational or insane, but it's
Nope.
something. But what I did is, when I had this revelation, it was, my first thing is, what would have happened, if I would have died? I talked to my kids, and my kids were very different too. They're listening to different music, and I got this impression that it really wouldn't have made much of a difference. I really started to see that if I had died, I had not really made much of a difference to the people in my life, or done the things, and I had acquired so much knowledge. So I wanted to, every day became this blessing to me, because I should be dead. Right now, the chance to talk to you is something that should not have happened. So it's like this incredible, it's a blessing magnified more than normal. I'm suddenly, every drink of water, every piece of toast is just the most wonderful thing. And I made a commitment, like, I want to be able to make a difference. And the thing that really that grabbed my attention was, I've gathered all this knowledge. I can use what I've learned, and I can teach it to others. And so that was the reason I wrote my first book. Was, I'm going to take all the stuff I've learned and share my experiences, and people really resonated with it. People had experienced similar reality shifts and quantum jumps. The great thing about having a podcast and a channel, like you've said, is that you, over time, you just get to know yourself better and what you're teaching. And so it's been sort of an evolution from the point where I started teaching that stuff. And I've gotten better in understanding of ways to teach. You can shift into your reality. I was forced by this incredible event to shift into your reality, but I could it was more than just reality shifting. It's just a manifestation, creation, so many other things. But I then started to have the opportunity to work with people, and there's just, as you can agree with me, there's nothing better to see somebody that's, at that low point, that's struggling, or that's struggling to achieve a goal, and then to see them blossom and to see them transform. It's the most amazing thing in the world, and that's what really pushes me and guides me now spiritually, is to have an opportunity every day to work with people, to teach them, to provide my insights and inspirations. And I've been doing it for about 6 years now, and putting out a new episode every day. And every day I feel like I learn more about myself, because really what I'm doing is sharing my own journey along the way and the things I'm learning. And it's been a real honor to have this space and to be able to live and share these things and be a part of this whole process. So yeah.
Oh, it is a miracle. It is an incredible miracle. And, we talk about it in slightly different ways. I talk a lot about partnering with the divine, because, yeah, you are here to live your life and experience an incredible life. And we do go off track. We like to be in alignment with the divine, feel like we're in the zone, we're making things happen. We feel we feel like we're making a difference in our lives. And then the stuff hits the fan and over we go, right? We're weebles. We wobble,
Yeah.
but we don't fall down. And it's not about going out of alignment. It's about how quickly can we regroup and get back into alignment. That's truly what I've been told by the divine. That's really what they're after. And I love how you are really helping people understand there are so many different realities. And we get to choose which one we want to live into, which one we choose to live into. I'm trying to eliminate the word want from my vocabulary.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So I talk a lot about abundance. I have never had the same definition from two guests ever. So I am dying to hear, given the kind of work that you're doing, and I'm so fascinated, how would you define abundance?
For a long time, I didn't like that word. I thought it was too sort of general and vague. But really, it's when you have more than you need. And for me, that's what it's more. And I don't even like that word need. It's when I have a plethora, an absolute more than I ever wanted, or there's that word again. It's
More than
hard
enough.
yeah, more than enough, so that I'm happy, I'm safe, secure, I'm free. And sometimes I equate abundance to freedom, but it depends on what I'm talking about. But I use that word all the time. Yeah. So, and it is an interesting word, because everybody has their own sort of meaning. It's hypnotic when people use the word abundance. What I find is that, I had moved from a place when I found my abundance and I knew what abundance meant. I had moved from a place where I just had barely enough to survive and to where I have more than enough now. And that was when I felt like, okay, I understand what abundance is.
Yeah,
When I
but
look at the universe and nature, I understand abundance by the trillions of stars that I see in the sky and the billions of trees that's what I see as abundance, right?
absolutely. And you've got an even deeper, richer definition of abundance than that, Brian, because you're not just playing with the abundance in our world, you are playing with the abundance in multiple worlds, in multiple realities.
Yes,
That's talk about abundance, baby.
that's very true.
That's abundance on steroids. That's
Yeah.
what that is.
And the one thing, you maybe could talk about this is that my focus on reality shifting kind of comes from a masculine perspective. If you work with men, and I find it, it's not all just men, but there's the perspective that I want to understand how this is happening, why. I want to understand the science of it. My dad raised me as a scientist, so it's not the reality aspect of it is not important, because you can find success in using these principles and techniques without even understanding the quantum physics of it or even knowing that there are infinite realities. But when we teach this concept, yes, when you understand that there's a version of you out there that's actually living what you want to live and that you can connect to it, and there's an infinite number of versions, and that it's appealing. It allows you to move beyond some subconscious limits that you have, and for a lot of people it helps them to and explain how this is happening and that it's beyond just magic, right?
It is way beyond magic. It is reality. It's just a reality we aren't familiar with. And so it seems bizarre. It seems sci-fi. It seems outlandish. And it is real. And it's really interesting that you bring this in because, Brian, I view that kind of ultimate you, the person who is you, who is living your perfect life. That is the divine you. That is divine Brian. That is divine Elaine. And I
Right.
can tap into divine Elaine and I can feel what she's feeling and how she thinks about things and how she shows up in the world and how she expresses herself. And I can choose to do those same kinds of things. I'm always looking for two different things. I'm always looking for tips that help me with my alignment and also tips that help me with my actions. And the actions are always designed to help me maintain and reinforce my alignment while making progress on whatever it is I'm working on. If I'm writing a book or I'm doing a show or whatever it is, two different kinds of tips because they're always showing up for me. Always.
Yeah. I like that. But one thing was a sudden realization I had a while back is that I'm always aligned.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always aligned. It's just being aligned to that thing that I want to experience. And so, but I'll take it to another level. There's the divine Elaine and there's the divine Brian. I believe that you and I are the same being, that there is one divine being. And what we're doing is we're just babies and we're just sort of exploring the infinite universe that we are. And so I think that the first level is understanding all the versions of ourselves. And eventually we understand all the versions of all the versions. And so it's just where, that's what's fun about this process is a sudden realization of our true self. And this true self is not Brian. It's not Elaine. I am God. And that's a scary thing for people to say. When I say that, it triggers people. But then I point out that's basically what Jesus was teaching, that, he was trying to tell us this really important fact that, I am the way. So the I am is this being that we all are. And this realization also empowers me to do these shifts, and understanding this power it's an amazing thing.
It's so interesting. The more you are willing to embody the divine, I view it as almost like we're like a straw that the divine flows through to be us and experience us as us. Okay, so the divine expresses through us as us. And either we're a skinny little straw that's been welded in the middle that you get at the bar and they twirl your drink with it. You'll get an aneurysm trying to suck through one of those things. Or you can be this massive pipe where infinite amounts of divine abundance and divine messages and divine insights flow through you. So you experience this incredible, intense love and delight in every experience you have, you recognize that everything is a blessing. And that's where you're saying, I am so aligned. I'm aligned all the time because I'm experiencing and interpreting everything in my awareness as a blessing of some kind. That is so brilliant.
Yeah.
Love that.
One thing that we don't talk about, because I know we're both teaching this, is that in some ways, reality creation or manifestation or the law of attraction sucks. It can be very, as you had mentioned before, it can be very, very hard. That's part of the reason I came to the place I was at on my journey, is that it never ends. It never stops. And you're literally being affected by it all the time. And even in those times, you're aligned. You may not be enjoying the experience that you're having. And so I'm understanding that it's a constant, ongoing process that never ends, moment by moment, breath by breath. And the more I can align to that powerful version of myself, then I can change it. And it took me a long time. I thought maybe I could sit for 10 minutes and really focus and be aligned to that vibration and then let it go, but it never ends. So really committing to it at a full-time situation is what was transformative for me.
That is so important. And one of the things that I realized is that there is my context from a human standpoint, which is usually I want to be right and I want things to go the way I want things to go. That's
Right.
the human experience. And then there's the divine context. And from the divine context, they are doing what they can to help us expand on a spiritual basis, to help us be more aligned with our divine self, to help us experience and embrace that level of awareness on an ongoing basis. And so if we decide to interpret that as something that is negative or something that is painful, we have the ability to do that. That's our choice.
Right.
Their focus is on our growth. And so when I started reorienting everything I experienced to go, aha, it's all supposed to be a blessing for me. And the blessing is designed to get me to grow on a spiritual level.
Exactly.
So I have to start asking myself, okay, how does this get me to show up in a different way? How is this a blessing for me? What am I being taught? What am I being reminded to share or be in the moment? Oh man, I love talking to you. So, I think a lot of people get stuck in certain areas. And I'm sure you had this experience. I certainly did.
Still do.
Where do you find people kind of run into that resistance, that wall?
The big wall that I'm finding more and more as I work with people is there's an invisible wall. A lot of people know what they need to do, and they're aware of their thoughts and actions, and they're taking those actions, but there are these invisible walls that come from our culture, or come from how we were raised, these deep subconscious beliefs that come from just being human, that sometimes we're just simply not aware of. They're blind spots that come along that tell us that we have to grow old, that if I make money, then I need to take it from someone else. That I have to work very hard to receive money and blessings. That it's difficult to heal. That there's all these little things that come deep down within us. And so I've really made it later on in my podcast, a big goal of mine is to remove those subconscious beliefs. And sometimes, the way we live in a world that's an information overload that is constantly creating this vast subconscious system that we're thriving on. I think it was actually probably easier in a long time ago to manifest and to align. Now, because we're living in this information overload, we have to overload ourselves with the positive, the good, the powerful, and it's a different process now. And so I've really made that my goal. That's the thing I notice with a lot of people. They're simply not aware of the deep beliefs that guide them in what they're doing.
Yeah, that is so true. And, it's fascinating because one of the other messages that I received is we are given the gift of a universal limiting belief. And it's a belief that almost everybody on the planet has. And that belief is, I am not enough. Well,
Exactly.
It's not there to punish you or beat you up or make you feel small. It's there as a reminder you're in partnership with the divine. And when you try to go it alone and you want to be in charge and on top of everything, well, there's a huge access point to infinite information that you're ignoring. And the divine is eager to help you and support you. It's fascinating. I experienced the divine as effervescent joy, just over the top, happy, excited, delighted, silly, playful. And I speak with angels. I call on angels. I hire angels all the time. There's gazillions of them out there. They're eager to work with you and support you, but you have to ask for their help. Now, they also have a sense of humor. I had finished my grocery shopping and I only have to go one exit on the freeway to get to my exit and then get back to my home. And so I'm in the car in the parking lot. I'm like, okay, angels, I really appreciate your support with a simple, easy trip home, safe, easy trip home. So I go to merge on the freeway. It turns out there were 2 accidents between where I got on and where I got the very next exit. And we crawled at 5 miles an hour. It was very safe. It was very easy. It was not very fast.
Exactly. Yes. The divine is a lawyer. You got to be really careful.
Well,
right?
They have a sense of humor and they like tweaking my tail for sure.
I've wanted to manifest large sums of money. And so then I'm watching an episode of Breaking Bad and I'm seeing a large sum of money right there as they're laying on a pile of cash. And I realized, geez, I didn't want to just see it.
Yeah.
I wanted to experience it and keep it. So it's true. And you can understand it's like a programming language. It's going to do exactly what you want, but you have to be specific and understand that specificity. It's true.
It is very true. Well, we were talking about how this is all an inside game that then manifests in our outside world. Mm-hmm. So what have you noticed is the shift, that perspective shift or that mindset or something? What's that transformation people have to make inside before they get the shift on the outside?
It's a good question. I don't think there's a single answer to that, but I do think that the biggest roadblock is just simply a belief that your thoughts create reality. And that's something so simple, but a lot of people will not make those. If you do not believe that your thoughts create reality, you'll start creating a reality where your thoughts don't create reality. And so the big transformation is a fully embracing an idea that your beliefs and thoughts manifest outside of you, that the world is just a mirror that reflects what's going on within you. And for a lot of people, they will not see it because they've set up a belief system that says that it's impossible, or they've been taught by their father or their science teacher that, that's not how it works. And that reality doesn't work like that. It's an accident and it's chaos. And so the big part of coming to an awareness that the world is me pushed out. That's what Neville Goddard would say. To see an understanding, a realization that the world is me pushed out.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because they always, that wonderful quote, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them.
You do.
Do you really want to argue that your life is terrible and it's never going to get any better? Is that really what you want to manifest for yourself? I mean, it's so interesting. I'm paying more attention to the words that I use now. And I had a conversation with the divine where they said, look, we are guiding you and you are guiding us. And I asked for some clarity around that because I'm like, really? What am I doing? And they was like, your intention is directing the energy where you want it to go. This is what you choose to experience. And whenever you see something in your awareness that isn't the way you want it to be, you see homelessness, you see people whose homes have been destroyed, you see challenges around the world, conflicts, anything where it's much bigger than you and you don't know how to personally fix it, that's when you call on us and you direct divine energy, seeing these people as healed and whole and perfect in their spiritual expansion. This is them on their journey. And maybe they're not having a great time right now. That is not going to be permanent for them. This or something better. But we expect you to direct that energy where it is needed, and then we can do our job. And I was just like, wow, that's another way of thinking about it. It's an inside to outside job.
Yeah, I love that. They can't the divine, the angels, the realm that you're working with has a limitation, and that is you need to ask them or be to direct them. They're not going to just willy-nilly do something without your focused intent. And that's the way the system is designed, and it can be difficult to understand that. Sometimes people have the belief that they're going to be protected, and they are going to be protected if they ask for that protection, because some people don't want to be protected. And so, it's an interesting conundrum. But part of my realization also is that realm, those angels that we're working with, are also me.
Yes.
To identify with them and understand that it is me, and that helps me to interact with them, a little bit better than it's this outside force that is working to help me.
It's so true. Everything is me. And it's funny, I have a little thing that I'm working on, a pendant. And if you take the word me and you turn it upside down, it becomes we. Because me is inside we, and we creates me. It is one thing, perpetually one thing, and constantly rotating, creating this gravity that we experience. So, Brian, I mean, you've been at this for a while. You are a master here. So, what would be one or two little baby steps that we could take that would get us going in the right direction?
I think that you make a good point. I think a good metaphor to understand this is it's sort of like you're riding on a motorcycle or a bike, and you're going to go where you aim your attention. And so your attention is the key. Your attention is an energy. And so what you place your attention upon will grow. That's where the energy comes from. And so the number one thing is to understand, what are you placing your attention on? I meet people all the time that understand these principles, but they're paying attention to conspiracy theories or horrible negative things. And then they're saying, why is it not going well for me? And what are you placing your attention on? I think that things form from we're so powerful that if entire groups of people are placing their attention on something, it starts to grow and become its own magical thing in some cases. And then we get affected by it, and then it starts to feed on this energy. So what happens is, if we want a change in the world that we're in, we need to change what we're paying our attention to. And that can be difficult because we've lived a life where our attention can be important. Do we need to pay attention to that news every day? Do we need to pay attention to all the negative stuff that I'm scrolling through? Do I need to pay attention to things that tell me that there's an elite evil cabal out there that controls me, giving up my power to them? If I pay attention to that, then I'm saying I'm powerless, that there's this group that's out there. Do I need to pay attention to an evil devil, Satan, that's secretly destroying my life? I'm paying attention to that. It becomes real. We are so powerful. We're creating these massive limits all around us. And so the first step is really, what are you paying your attention to? Just like you're riding that bike, you're going to drive it right into the river if you pay attention to the river or whatever. It's probably not the best example, but kind of
no, it's very true. It's very true. It's so interesting because I always talk about, you've got to set your intention first, which is what you want to create and how you want to feel, and then focus your attention on all the things that are working. That's where you're really aware of all the blessings that are showing up for you. And often they aren't obvious. It's more like a scavenger hunt. You have to really kind of think about it and figure out, how could this really be expanding me on a spiritual level? How is this enriching my world, enriching my life, and those of others that I'm exposed to?
Yeah.
You know, it's not just you. What you experience ripples through all of creation. Everything in existence. You are that drop hitting the surface of the lake and then spreading out through the entire lake.
Attention and intention can almost be the same thing. Intention comes first, but attention is what follows. And in many ways, it's the same process, the same thing. Once you place your intention, you start to place your attention on what you're placing your intention for. If I want to go and eat an apple, my intention is to eat an apple. I'm going to get up and place my attention on that apple and eat the apple, right? They're basically, they go one and the same. Yeah.
Oh, Brian, I could keep you here all day. I love chatting with you. This is such
Yeah.
a fabulous conversation. I'm just going to have you come back again and again and again.
Sure.
That's all there is to it. But we love to turn the tables on our guests here at the Abundance Journey because we know that when we give is when we truly receive the most. So what can we do to support you?
The best way to support me is to follow my YouTube channel. By watching my videos, it supports me. I have a new book out, the Activate Your Unlimited Power. I'm really proud of, where I take that first book and take it to the next level. And I utilize neurolinguistic programming and specific techniques that I've learned to activate this power. And part of that process is eliminating our distortions and blocks. And so it would really support me if you could support my book, which is right here, Activate Your Unlimited Power. And nothing could support me more to follow my channel and purchase my book if you get a chance.
Well, trust me, I'm getting that next. It's on my reading list.
Well,
I
thank you.
read 4 or 5 books a week. I eat them like popcorn. And I can't wait to read through your book because your vibe, your energy, your style, your approach is so right on, Brian.
Thank you,
I
Elaine. Thank you.
absolutely adore you. I love what you're doing in the world. And thank you so much for joining us. But man, you've left me with a bit of a conundrum. I have like 5
Keep going.
pages of notes. 5 pages of notes
Oh,
from
my
you,
goodness.
mister. I have to pick just one of all these incredible things you shared with us to do the Activate Abundance segment around. You're making my life a little challenging here.
Well, there's another thing I would love to talk with you about as a coach, because we've talked about these techniques. And that's the idea of importance. It's something that if people are really into this, that follow, I find people that really want to create the reality they want. They place a huge amount of importance on this thing that they want. And oftentimes that importance creates a sensation of lack, of wanting, and it takes them away from what they want. Their attention is away from what they want on the not having the importance. And so there's this delicate balance. How do I balance my desire to have this thing without completely obsessing over it and becoming the stalker that drives around and looks at that thing, right?
You know, the thing that's so interesting to me, and I do have an answer for that if you're want to brainstorm on an answer, it's kind of like you've got a jigsaw puzzle in front of you, and you really want to complete the jigsaw puzzle. You want to have the entire picture done, but it's a complex puzzle. It's got a lot of similar looking pictures, pieces. And so you have the opportunity to celebrate every single time you put one more piece together with the puzzle. And that's where you put your focus. It's like, oh, this is amazing. I found one more and it fits perfectly right here. How cool is that? And you stay in this space of grateful curiosity because you don't know how you're going to be guided to manifest this or something better. It's on the way, but no matter what journey you're on, it's a journey of baby steps, of individual puzzle pieces. It's fascinating. I get downloads from the divine all the time, and each individual download is amazing. I mean, it's wow, cool stuff. And then after a while, I start to look at multiple downloads and I realize it's a connect the dots puzzle. And all of a sudden, the whole image comes to bear and it pops out in 3D Technicolor. And I'm like, ooh, wow, that's like the real download. These were all great downloads, but that's the big kahuna. And so rather than say, well, it only counts if it's a big kahuna. No, enjoy the little downloads, enjoy the tiny progress, celebrate your progress. Because the more you celebrate who you are being, the faster you get to be it.
Ever so true. Well put.
Oh, can't you just stay all day? I don't want to stop. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You are a blessing and a delight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, stick around. We're going to activate abundance in just a moment.
All right.
Hi, it's Elaine Starling, the Abundance Ambassador. And I know since you're listening to this show or watching this show, The Abundance Journey, you really want to experience more abundance in your life. Well, that's why I wrote the book, 5 Steps to Activate Your Abundance. It's available for sale right now from Amazon, from barnesandnoble.com, and many international sellers. And I want you to pick up a copy because I'm really opening the kimono here and sharing all of the information you need to experience abundance in every single aspect of your life. The book's divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is called Meeting the Divine. This is where I share my near-death experience and the conversation I got to have with our higher power during my stroke. In Part 2, Messages from the Divine, I share the best practices that I was given, the secret sauce in how life actually works. And so you understand really why you're here and how you can make the most of your life so you love every single moment. And then in the Part 3 is Partnering with the Divine. That's where I go into each of the 5 steps to activate your abundance and explain exactly why it works so well. So take a moment to pick up a copy. It's available as an ebook, a paperback book, an audiobook, and a video course. So however you like to absorb information, abundance is waiting for you. Man, it took me forever to decide which thing to do because number one, I am so grateful to spend this time with Brian. He is amazing. I love the way he just opens up my perspective and my awareness and helps me experience a richer world. He really is adept at helping us create our reality. I love that. Love that. Step 1 is gratitude. Step 2 is to acknowledge something you heard that was a bit of an aha for you. And I loved when Brian said, it is me. That person that I'm arguing with, it is me. That person I'm loving on, it is me. That angel that I'm hoping will bless me, that's me too. The God of my understanding, that's me. It's all me. I am one with all of them. I am a little subset of all of them. And I was like, wow, that is such a cool way of looking at the world. And no matter what's happening, no matter who you're talking to, no matter who you're thinking about, that is me. That's what I'm looking at right now. So step 3 is appreciate the difference it can make in your life when you actually take advantage of that aha. So now, every time I'm experiencing something, like if I feel friction with another person, that is me. I am witnessing or experiencing this friction because this person is a reflection of who I am being in the moment. And I have a choice. I can either insist that I am right and they are wrong, in which case my resistance grows, or I can step into a space of grateful curiosity with the assumption that I don't necessarily get it yet. I don't have a full perspective, that I can see one slice of the pie and this other person has a different vantage point. When I'm willing to open myself up to receive, my world is enriched tenfold, if not more, 1,000-fold, infinitely. And it's a choice that I have. No one can put it on me. It's a choice I make every time I realize that person I'm talking to, that person I'm watching on the news, that person that I'm judging, usually judging, that person is me. Yeah. So step 4 is to activate abundance. This is where we take the concept and we turn it into tangible physical reality. I've discovered 3 different ways to do this. The first way is schedule time to get it done. Now, I consider journaling and meditation in this category because if you don't schedule time to do it, you're not going to do it. And I love journaling because so often ideas and thoughts will be going through my mind, especially if I'm busy judging someone or blaming someone or being irritated by something. If I write down what my experience is, all of a sudden I can get an objective perspective on it that allows divine inspiration to flow through. So I have a broader awareness and I realize It is me. Whatever it is I'm wrestling with, I'm arm wrestling with myself. And that's a choice that I have. I don't have to continue arm wrestling with myself. The second way to activate abundance is to create a physical trigger, like crossing your fingers or tugging on your earlobe. This is really useful if you're like going into a meeting with someone and it might be kind of challenging, or getting together with your family over the holidays and tempers can get a little high. Instead of just assuming, boy, they're going to put me through the ringer again, this is me. I'm witnessing myself in this moment, in this conversation, and I'm able to see myself from a broader perspective when I'm willing to show up with that attitude that whoever I'm speaking with and whatever they're saying, they are reflecting me back to me. So I can have an incredible spiritual experience in this moment. I choose it. I can choose to have an incredible spiritual experience, but it's on me to choose it. And this little crossing my fingers or tugging on my earlobe is a great way to remind myself that that's the perspective I choose to adopt. Okay, the third way to activate this abundance is I love to work with somebody like an abundance buddy. Most people call them accountability buddies, but I call them abundance buddies. This is somebody who really knows you, who gets you, who's like, you know what? You wanted to have me remind you anytime you step out of alignment and you pretend that whoever it is you're talking to or you're complaining about is not you. So you're complaining that that person said this to you. Why would you say that to you? What is the spiritual growth? What is the spiritual opportunity for you saying that to yourself? And all of a sudden you start to see it in a totally different light, because sometimes we're too close to ourselves and we can't see ourselves that well. So working with an abundance buddy really puts it all in place. Now, for this, I'm using all three. I'm journaling about it. I definitely am crossing my fingers, remind myself how I want to show up. This is me. And work with my abundance buddy as a reminder. Am I showing up the way I choose to show up? Step 5, celebrate your progress. This is a beautiful unfolding journey of abundance. Your life is filled with blessings beyond imagining. So when you choose to embrace them and welcome them into your awareness, wow, life gets interesting and fun really fast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.